Previously on Big West Wrestling.
For the Big West Wrestling Tuesday Night TalkDown, I am the Candyman. Tune in Thursday for the first ever Thursday Night ThrowDown with Mad Dog and Casey Anders. It's gonna be hilarious to watch those two bums argue with each other again.
Hey guys, Mad Dog, Marty Sugar here. Just really quickly before we get into the first throwdown, Casey Anders and myself, long-time rivals, so there's a bit of a banter here back and forth. I apologize in advance for that. Casey Anders very much took the American Idol idea that Candyman had to heart, and there was a lot of criticism. We're going to cut out a bunch of it. He doesn't like cell phone promos. He doesn't like stuff that doesn't sound like it's going to be an actual wrestling match. So that's that, and that's more of an aesthetics thing. We're not really too worried about that. We filmed this about 5 hours before the voting was done for this week, so we didn't know the winners yet, but obviously you do now. This is just more kind of constructive, just trying it out. It was filmed on Skype, because apparently my laptop doesn't like Zoom, and so it's not the best quality. It's just an experiment. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, hey, at least we tried, and we're throwing out some content here for you people to enjoy here in Big West. So sit back and relax.
Okay, let's get to it. All right, this week, episode 1.4 of the TalkDown, technically the 5th episode, but the 4th week of Tuesdays, was Colton G, the Desert Tiger podcaster.
Don't get into that, Marty. Just slow your roll, okay? Because I haven't spoken to you in how long? How long's it been? Yeah, not long enough. And I know that we kind of, I don't want to say buried the hatchet, because if I had one, I'd bury it in your back. But I feel like we've been relatively civil, for a lack of a better term, for a while. So before we get into any of this, I just want to put out there that, and this is the only nice thing I'll ever say about you, you are getting better at talking. I've been watching your stuff on the Big West Facebook page, so you're getting better in your old age. You can teach an old dog new trick, apparently.
Thanks.
Oh. Just, and by the way, the gray in your beard is coming in very evenly, so take that as a bonus compliment.
You still can't grow facial hair.
I know what you're trying to do there, but what I have is quality, not quantity, right?
No, it's called a neck beard.
So anyway, the first match this week was...
you want to talk about the show now? Okay, all right. One day the puberty will be fine. Colton G, Lance Skulls. Colton G is a podcaster, like I said, the Desert Tiger, hence the nickname. Lance Skulls, I believe, is a former radio guy. He is the ring announcer for Pacific Pro Wrestling down in Abbotsford, manager of Todd Quality and a couple other guys when he comes out here to the Okanagan. What did you think?
So we'll go competitor by competitor here. Lance Skulls, I thought that maybe the amount of time he had might have got away from him there. There was a lot of pausing, and it just felt like he was just trying to fill that space. I know that there are time limits for these things, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to hit that time. If you don't have something to say, get in, get out. Just make your point. That's number one. And you just get to the point. Get in and get out.
I think that's a good point, is that given 2 minutes, you don't need 2 minutes. Having the restrictions drop from the 30 seconds to the 2, because some people are complaining they needed more. And then, you got to try and fill that time or don't, and that'll come with time. Like I said, Lance is new to the world of promos, so we'll give him that. Any dig on him clearly reading from his notes?
Yeah. It's,
it's all good. I figured whatever. He's a radio guy like you, right? He's got a face for radio just like you do, and you read off notes in radio.
You do if you're new at it, but I mean, if you know what you're going to say and you get in with a point, you don't need to get too deep into the notes. You don't want to write your promo, and I don't think that he did that. So that was good. Like, he had a plan, but he wasn't reading word for word, because you can always tell when somebody's reading word for word what they're saying.
Oh, absolutely.
That gets to my next point. Colton G, brother, I didn't believe a word that Colton G was saying. It came across so planned, like he was just trying to do this character work. And I mean, bonus points for having an idea with the Tiger King thing. Didn't feel like either of them were trying to win a fight, and that's what promos are supposed to be.
Yeah.
So,
We're in this weird thing where guys are cutting promos to cut promos, and not all of them necessarily come off as fight promos, because it is sterile. It's taken out of the environment of there's nowhere, this is going nowhere. So it's not like it's built up to, getting bleach thrown in your face or something.
Still sour about that?
Or something.
But the point is, like, with all of professional wrestling is the suspension of disbelief and the illusion of a fight. So that should carry over to promos too. I'm not in a promo battle with somebody just to beat them at a promo battle. If I'm cutting a promo on somebody, it's because we're going to fight sometime. And that's what these guys need to remember. Even if you're not a wrestler, this is your opportunity to pretend. And this is your chance to actually, you'll never be what I am. And to a lesser extent, you'll never be what old Silver Balls over here is. But, you still have an opportunity to pretend. And who knows, maybe this will be the fire that you need lit under your ass to get into the Big West Wrestling School when this is all done, right? It was nice to see them put some thought into the promos. And the same with Lance Skulls. He had an idea of what he wanted to say, and he had a direction he wanted to go in. So it's a good start, whereas, you get people who just turn the camera on and think about it and start talking. So.
Yep, fair enough. So who would you pick to win that?
My pick for that one is going to be Lance Skulls, just because it felt a little more natural and human than Colton G's.
Fair enough. It's literally, we're filming this right now. It is 4 p.m. Pacific time, so about 5 hours to go in the voting. It is literally the only vote that's close. So on that note, that's positive. Let's continue on. Match number 2. The Power Broker, Mike Chisholm, against the dual nature of Jack Pride.
So this one was
Mike Chisholm. Time out for 1 sec. We'll set this up right. Mike Chisholm, obviously founder of Invasion Wrestling. He's always been Mr. Nice Guy, and now he's putting out this angry rich guy character, which is new to his concept. He's always been the nice guy backstage at Invasion. It's always nice when there's one. Jack Pride, obviously one of the most talented wrestlers in Alberta. This Jack Pride character has got him over for a long time in Alberta. He's one of the top guys up there with like Michael Richard Blaze and the rest. He's an elite Alberta performer. Bringing that character here to the Big West crowd. Fire away.
So, like you said about Mike Chisholm, super nice guy. And that's all I've ever known him as. Professionally, personally, he's just always been very pleasant. And in this case, I feel like him trying to be the bad guy is kind of like me trying to be a nice guy. It just doesn't work. Like, it's not natural, If you're going to film at night, have something illuminating your face, Like,
makes for a nice backdrop, though. It makes for a nice backdrop.
Sure, it makes for an okay backdrop, but at the same time, I'm not looking at the backdrop. I'm trying to look at the person who's cutting a promo. So I should be able to see your facial features.
Yeah, but you're a comic book nerd, and it came off very comic booky, so you should appreciate that as a nerd of comic books.
I didn't understand what his point was of the promo either, by the way. Like, the anthill and the lawnmower.
Was it too difficult an analogy for you?
It's not that it was a difficult analogy. It was just very empty. It didn't make any damn sense. And he didn't even call out Colton G. So,
are you suggesting that it was anticlimactic?
So,
was it possibly the antithesis of a good promo?
It's a good thing I have a good exoskeleton, because these are driving me nuts.
So, you are such a heel. Do you have anything positive to say about this promo?
His hair is beautiful.
It is. That's the truth.
He's got glorious hair that, the likes of which Marty Sugar's never seen on his upper or lower half. So,
what are you talking about? My hair is amazing right now. It's so grown out. It's awesome. I can't grow the back. Never have. Okay, Jack Pride. Get to him.
Jack Pride. The whole gimmick is got potential, but I'm not buying it just yet. But this promo was very clever and very well paced. I think he said a lot of really good things, and I think that it was the first promo of the show that actually made me feel like I was going to go to a wrestling show. And so, big on that. Again, I'm not huge on this whole multiple personalities gimmick. I know Jack Pride's a talented guy. I know that he can actually talk, but for me, the cat alone won this one, because I'm more of a cat guy than a mad dog guy, right? So, Jack Pride did good work here. I think that he got across the idea of what he's going for, and I think the idea it was a little harsh to say that it just put like Mike Chisholm put him out, but at the same time it worked. So I thought that was pretty good.
Who did you pick that one to win?
Definitely Jack Pride all the way.
Okay. Cool. All right, up next, some guy named Casey Andrews against the rookie Sebastian Wolfe. Now, to set this up, Casey Andrews, obviously, you've heard of him. Sebastian Wolfe is one of the rookies out of Vancouver, trained with ECCW, is part of a group of young Surrey guys that are getting a big push all throughout the Pacific Northwest down in Washington. And, of course, Sebastian Wolfe just went viral with his Bag of Mania that got the eyes of Mick Foley and everybody else. Casey Andrews, of course, is a former Okanagan champion who went back to Ontario and disappeared. Anyway.
When you're right, you're right, man.
What's that?
It's not like when you're right, you're right. It's not like I was on international television on the Fight Network and wrestling all over Ontario. Nothing like that.
Fair. No, we'll give you that one. All right. So, aside from that, I'll give you your credit where it's been harder in Ontario. There's way more work in Ontario than there is in the Okanagan. Maybe the big fish moved back to a big pond. But you've been doing okay. You're getting back in the ring. You're going to start wearing trunks. God forbid, save us all. First of all, let's talk about your promo, smart guy.
It wasn't my best work. I'm going to be honest. Time
out then. Time out. Legitimate question. If it wasn't your best work, why the hell did you send it in?
Because at the time I was happy with it. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I pride myself on knowing what I'm going to say when I go in. I pride myself on being able to usually bang it out in one or two cuts, and this one felt good to me. But when I look back on it, there were a few things that I kind of crutched on, and I think the time got the best of me. I'm not used to talking for 2 minutes either. I'm very much from the 45 to a minute at most. So I caught myself doing a lot of the things that I caught the other guys doing, where I was stalling or trying to think of the next thing to say to fill that time. And I fell into that trap on my own. So I could have done better, but at the same time, I think I delivered for 2 minutes, minute and 45, I think it was. Yep. And I still got the point across at the end. So
here's one thing, though. You keep talking about stalling. There is a thing called dramatic pause. So it's open to interpretation. Right, a lot of wrestlers that are great promos, Jake Roberts would include a dramatic pause. Most of those guys would. Right, so I mean, there's that as an argument that it's not just stalling for time.
But I'm not saying that everyone's stalling for time. There's a difference between saying something and letting it hang. Like, the time that Casey Andrews tased Marty Sugar and almost cost him his damn career. And you let that settle, as opposed to, well, Casey Andrews, I'm going to wrestle you. There's a difference.
Yeah. Got it.
You got to let the gravitas of what you're saying match your pacing. And with that said, I didn't really do that much as far as pausing, but I did a lot of filler words and a lot of things that I think were just kind of there because I had the time. Whereas if I had just got to the end part where I said the whole part about how bags don't hit back, but I do, and that I was coming for him, that would have been a solid promo. And I think I would have won.
Okay, so what about Wolfe?
First of all, his partner needs to project his voice a little bit more. I didn't hear anything what the partner said. I was just kind of there.
But you got to admit, he went balls out with this conversation.
He absolutely did. I mean, as far as, God damn it, you're going to leave me in stitches with these jokes. I don't think the Wilson volleyball gimmick is a gimmick. I think that he's actually legitimately insane. So
missing his friend. We're all missing our friends, even our enemies, apparently, because we're stuck talking to each other.
I don't know who signed me up for this. I thought I was talking to Scarlett Black this week. So instead of Big West Star, you
don't we all?
Honestly, this was a really well done promo. It was well paced, and he clearly did his homework. I'm pretty sure he started the promo reading from that CNWA magazine that I was highlighting in like a decade. And like that's what I like to see is like he took it as a fight. We're two guys, and I put this in my notes. I really want to fight this guy. I wrote that down because first of all, I know he can wrestle, which, I mean, we don't have a lot of wrestlers doing this TalkDown thing right now, but I know the ones that do. I want to fight all of them because they're clearly, they get it. And I think Sebastian Wolfe is one. He won. He beat me this week. And I don't have any shame in putting that out there. I think that he delivered. I think it'd be a different story if there was something at stake. Leave it at this. Sebastian Wolfe has made a believer out of Casey Andrews on the talk side. But now the question is, between those three cables, can he actually deliver there?
Main event time. Dopes on the ropes with their first title defense, having been the only undefeated entity to go all the way to the finals, who won it all. There was a little bit of controversy that they may or may not have been losing to Sleazy Steve before the computer voting crashed. But be it as it may, four-way dance, they dominated, got more votes than the other three guys combined. And the other three were Cope, Serge, and Steve, so it wasn't like they were fighting nobodies. Against Justin Sider, who literally came from behind in the final 2 hours of the Battle Royal to win by quite a bit. What did you think about? Let's go with the challenger first. What do you think of Justin's video?
So I have to say that Justin Sider's delivery is very solid. He used the time well. I think that's what you need to do with a longer promo is you need to have production elements, because anybody standing there for 2-3 minutes and just talking, you're going to lose me after 45 seconds anyway. It's called tune-out factor. It's a thing. It's like if Marty Sugar ever made it on television, that's an immediate tune-out factor, you know? So I think in that case, now, one thing that I do want to question the actual rules committee on is there was a Sleazy Steve run-in during the promo. So isn't that an automatic disqualification?
Actually, no. In this one, the Dopes allowed Sider to have a run-in because there's two of them.
That may be to their disadvantage because Sleazy Steve actually, he delivered a pretty good little promo himself there. The one note that I have for Justin Sider, I like the idea of what he's doing. I like the aesthetic and the vibe, but slow down just a tiny bit. Because the one thing that I think a lot of these guys are doing, even with the longer promos, is they're talking so quickly and they're trying to get their words out. But I feel like, again, it's more about what you say and how you say it.
Well, and that's like any, because Justin is training to be a wrestler. He is a play-by-play guy right now for both Big West and Thrash. He's had one match. He's been in Battle Royal thus far. And it's like any young guy. You got to tell him, slow down, kid. It's literally rule number one. So it's not going to, there's no surprise that it's on the promos too.
Now that I know he's working, I really want to fight that guy because I feel like I can put my hand through the middle of his chest.
Oh, he's got some. He's lean, but he's muscular. He takes a beating. There's a video of it. He got his ass handed to him, and he stood up to him for himself. So, okay, we got the challenger. He did well. Had a little help from Sleazy Steve. Now let's turn to the champions, the Dopes. Now, before we get into this, the Dopes are podcast guys that have graduated from the world of podcast to the world of YouTube. They help edit a lot of stuff for both Thrash and Big West. They're crew hands. They're the Smokezilla, the little one, is going to start having his hand in some play-by-play. Fearcast J does a lot of ringside camera work, so they have their fingers in a lot of the Okanagan wrestling right now. Take it away.
So my first thing, and this is just a personal pet peeve, but anybody who makes pothead part of their personality profile, I don't dig that. That's not a thing that I really care for.
That was the basis of their podcast, hence the Dopes and the Ropes. There was a lot of smoking pot, watching wrestling was the impetus of these characters and how they developed.
With that said, this promo, there was a lot happening in a short amount of time, and it might have been even a little bit over-edited. There was just a lot going on with like the news and then a promo and then another promo and then more news. It was jumping all over the place. That promo left its feet more than Marty Sugar in 3 years. So that to me, I mean, kudos for the planning and the clever edits because there was some neat tricks used there. I don't like anybody using terms like marks. Just stop it. Just let's remember that this is still a wrestling show at the end of the day. That said, everything that they said was well delivered, and they speak very well. And I think they do have an advantage over a lot of these newer trainees because they do have that podcast background.
Fair enough. But I mean, comedy has its place in wrestling and always has. For every serious wrestler, there's a Santino Marella or a Casey Anders pretending he's a superhero. And, people laugh and giggle, and then, you get your 5 seconds on international television.
You're on today.
I'm on fire. All right. So who did the Dopes retain, or did Justin take the belt?
I think Justin Sider is going to take this one. I haven't looked at the voting. For me, I think that Justin Sider was more of a wrestling promo, and Dopes on the Ropes was more of a SNL skit a little bit. I got a little bit of SNL skit vibes. With that said, it's going to be very close, and I think this one might come down to who has the bigger fan base.
I think so too. Yeah, do a final thoughts bit.
So I think the thread for this week, this was the best episode of TalkDown so far, bar none. There's a couple of individuals that weren't on this show that I'm looking forward to giving some critiques to. But I think the important thing this week was that everyone's starting to get a little bit more comfortable with what they can do and what they shouldn't do. That said, just because some booker man gives you 2 minutes doesn't mean you have to use the whole damn thing. Mean what you say and put a lot more emphasis into what you're saying as opposed to how much you're saying. The most important thing about all of this, and what I have here, it says, at the end of the day, this is still a wrestling show. We may not be able to get in a ring and beat each other up now, but at the end of the day, this is still a wrestling show. So I would like to see a little bit more from all promos future forward. I would like to see more of why you're going to win a wrestling match. Let's pretend that these promos are being booked as future wrestling matches and less as just, we're going to have some fun cutting promos. Because, yeah, that's all well and good. We're here to have fun. But at the same time, let's suspend that disbelief a little bit and let's give it a point. Let's make a point at the end of the day. Because, the only way that the internet title is going to have any prestige is, one, if it comes over here, and two, if people actually win it. If they're just getting their friends to vote for their selfie promo where they're down like this and they're just walking around, that is not a solid promo.
Alrighty, and with all that talk of Sebastian Wolfe, Casey Anders wants to see what he can do in a wrestling ring. Here we go. Last year's May Days, May 17, 2019, outside Rutland Centennial Hall. We missed May Days this year. We miss all you fans. Here's some wrestling to tide you over. Sebastian Wolfe against the top young gun, Sean Gaston. And we'll see you next time.
I'm freezing. 5 minutes has gone by, 15 minutes remain. 5 minutes has gone by, 15 minutes remain.